Hello and welcome to Chiefs fans before we were cool.
Yeah, I don't. After that loss, I don't know how cool it is to be a Chiefs fan even right now. But we're gonna we're gonna push through it. It's all right. We'll get fine.
A lot of
Just blame the
people,
refs. Like, who
yeah,
cares?
yeah, yeah, a lot of
Just get mad at
people,
the refs for ruining 2 plays when we did a whole game of misplays.
yeah, you got to blame somebody, right? So, I was just gonna say, maybe it's not that the Packers are a better team or anything. Maybe it's just that a lot of the Chiefs are lactose intolerant and all that cheese.
Yeah, it was definitely the cheese.
The
So
cheese, the
much cheese.
cheese. Oh boy.
Well, I mean that cheese was fine cheddar. Unfortunately, the Packers were on point in that game, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think some of the games we've lost, we could say we lost the game. I think that's kind of true in this game, but I also think the Packers won it, fair and square.
Yeah.
They came in,
Yeah.
they wanted it, and they got it.
Yep. Yeah. Obviously, we'll talk about this. There's some really bad refing, but that doesn't mean we deserve to win that. It just means that, man, like
We
that
could have.
it kept us from coming back. Like we should have taken care of business and done okay, but the refing made it hard for us to do what we needed to do. Um,
Yeah, that last
well,
drive particularly. But yeah,
yep. So let's take a look at I have three memes for us today.
all right. I'm afraid of them a little bit, but we'll see what we got.
Cowboys fans rooting for 49ers for one game and then washing their hands afterwards, like
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
was pretty
yeah,
funny. So
yeah, yeah. Root for each other and then move on.
and this one
Oh
has to do more with
no!
this has to do more with college football than anything, but
Yeah, no, definitely. There've been a lot of jokes about that. Just so easy. Somebody was saying they were going to vote the Chiefs out of the playoffs after this.
yeah,
Heard on different podcasts. That's anyway. Yeah, that's really hard. He's also like my main QB in a fantasy league, so
yeah. A friend of mine
selfishly
said
I want him back.
said that he thought the whatever they're called, the people who make the decisions for the college playoffs, um, he said they're going to go into witness protection. I said they should just claim that they got AI to make the decision for them. And that's what AI came up with. So, all right.
Yeah, they just kind of decide. It seems like, and honestly, it's probably going to make a better playoffs, but it
Yeah.
isn't really fair in the sense
Yeah.
of like what it seems like their communicated goal and their actual goals are different.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that and the whole SMU thing last year, I think everybody was mad that that was the play. Like it was not a good championship game.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh, so let's have a game. Also, refs. Oh, this is okay. This is okay. What did that? What was that play with the face mask? I can't remember that.
So that was and this is so this screenshot, I'll talk about this now because it drives me crazy. This screenshot is from the when after a big play they show the instant replay. So like this is not an obscure camera angle. This is the main camera that they show. That was when they converted on 4th and 2 with the deep shot downfield. Um, and there's an obvious miss of that's a really clear hands to the face there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
so
okay. So this was for the Packers. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, the
I see.
Packers, when they converted on 4th and 2, they took that deep shot. And granted, the Chiefs should not have let them get somebody open that deep like that, right? But it also just shows like, okay, the
Was that the
Chiefs are to
crazy
blame.
Dobbs throw?
The catch, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dobbs catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a
Yeah.
great catch, but it's just like, man, like it's hard to see a more blatant penalty besides the next picture, I guess.
Except for
You
this one.
know,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and also that Dobbs throw, like it was so good. Like I like maybe that was perfectly planned but nobody plans to be falling back and throw it at this angle, so no DB.
yeah.
Like I would say there were a few throws that Jordan Love just got a little lucky with. Like he kind of tossed them up and
Yep.
they came to the right spot. Now, arm talent luck? It's a combination of both probably. But like I specifically that play. Like if Chiefs turn around, like that could have been an interception potentially. Maybe not because of the angle, but like I don't know. Like people praise that throw a lot, and I'm just kind of like it seemed kind of desperation,
Yeah.
and it worked out great, but I don't know if that's a recipe for success. Like
And with how
can't count
close
on that
this
one.
guy is, if he does not have the defender's hand in his face, he stops that pass from getting off.
That's also true.
So
Yeah, that's a
like,
sack. It's not just a fadeaway throw. It's a
yeah.
sack. So
So
that's
or
a
at
good
least
point
should have
too.
been, I don't know, his hands to the face, is that a 5 or is it a 10-yard penalty?
I mean, I think it's 10.
I think it's
Yeah,
10. But anyway,
yeah. That's
um,
a big deal. All right, those are the memes. Let's do brother wonders. We're trying to go pretty quick because it's kind of a crazy week, and
crazy
we're both
weekend.
we're both sick. We're a
Yeah.
little beat up. This is the time of year where there's a lot of injuries,
Yep.
including
This is
the
how dedicated
podcasters.
of fans we are. When the Chiefs are down, we're also down. So,
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more. I think the injuries were a much bigger deal than that. At least the
oh yeah.
broadcasters really talked about.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these things. What do you find most concerning about the Packers' loss?
Um, yeah, I'd just say injuries. The it looks like Tranquil is it's concussion, so he's going to be back. It looks from what I heard, Cook did not have, it's not a break, so he'll probably be back for the playoffs. But one of the things is it doesn't matter how good of a team you are. If you are injured going into the postseason, it's hard for you. And honestly, our third string middle linebacker actually played a heck of a game. Like our defense let up more points than they usually do, but overall he played pretty well.
Yeah,
But you could just see they were not quite as strong on defense as normal. So the injuries,
yeah,
obviously, Pacheco injury has me worried. Hopefully he's ready for after this week. He's back for next, but
yeah. And I think the impact was probably more than individual play, just group play because he's the green dot, right?
yeah,
So even if his play, which I thought was great, he made a couple good reads and tackles himself, but like we don't know the impact it had on the play calls, the defense
yeah,
adjustments and stuff. So anyway, those are some thoughts there. I would say the most concerning thing, it's still just the wide receivers, and it's not a hot take. It's not something
yeah,
that's new. It's just our wide receivers don't seem to be running the right routes. They keep dropping passes, or they're
yeah,
not going the right way. And we'll probably talk about a little bit, but the Sky Moore, interception where he's running the wrong route. Maybe he doesn't catch it, but at least he's in the right spot, and it's a contested, so there's not a free interception there.
yeah,
Like I don't know, it's kind of hard, but that was probably the most concerning thing I have about it. It just more and more weeks, it's like, are they going to turn a corner? Is it at least going to
yeah,
get to average play? Because that's kind of how our defense has been in the past. It's like been bad, 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 then it gets average, and then gets a little above average, and then we go to the
yeah,
playoffs. But like our wide receivers are still below average, and they're staying there, and there's not a real sign of improvement other than Rasheed Rice, as we talked
yeah,
about. Rice, baby. Um,
yep.
we got gotta love Rasheed Rice and stuff, but like the way
Hey,
that he wins though, it's also not affecting defenses too much. Like shorter passes, stuff like that. We need our downfield threats better. We need intermediate routes better, and
yep.
that's going to open up Travis Kelce. That's going to open up Rasheed Rice to do even more. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Um, sorry. So let's keep going. What do you think the Chiefs' record would be with an average quarterback like Jimmy G?
Oh, everything else on the team the same.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're 8-4 right now. Is that right? Um, I think I think we'd be lucky to be 6-6.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more like 4-8, probably.
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy G is like I'm gonna just change the thing average from Jimmy G to somebody else, like maybe like Deshaun Watson, the way he's played. I
yeah,
think the Browns would be a pretty good comparison. Their defense is a little bit more electric, but we probably have a little bit better
yeah. They get
other
more
plays. Yeah.
turnovers, I think, but we have more. We give, I think, a more consistent, like, don't give up big plays and things like that.
Yeah. So
But
I mean that would be my thought. They're 7-5, but yeah, 6-6. maybe, doing something.
But I also think, and I could be wrong, but I think besides Kelsey, the Browns have some pretty big receivers. Like, don't they
Yeah.
have Amari Cooper, like as one of theirs?
Yeah, Amari Cooper is pretty
Um,
electric.
so I
But
don't.
other than that, him,
Yeah,
it's
maybe
kind
not.
of like whatever.
Yeah,
Like, so I don't know. Might be a toss up there.
yeah.
When they had the running back, um,
Oh, Chubb.
Chubb, yeah, when
Yeah,
they had Chubb, I would say their offense, like the offensive players were much better.
yeah,
But without him, they're kind of like, okay,
yeah.
not the same. Um, which rookie do you think has been most impressive? Mine's Rishi Rice. I think it's
Yeah.
probably yours as well. Um,
Yep.
our last rookie class was amazing. We had like 3 or 4 or 5 things. I think Rishi Rice, just partly because of the hole he's filling. Like that's
Yeah.
the big need, and he's filling it. So,
Yep.
and then finally, this is from Brother's wife. So Brother's wife wonders, you think it's unfair that they compare Jordan Love to Brett Favre more than they compare Mahomes to him?
Obviously, Jordan Love, they're gonna compare him to Favre more simply because they played for the same team, right?
Yep.
Um, and so, I get that. Um, the Chiefs, unfortunately, there would not really been in a long time a really great Chiefs quarterback in like our generation, right? So and in one sense I say I get it because we're Packers players, but in another sense I'll say I think people have become kind of inoculated to how good Mahomes is, because Mahomes is putting up top 10 numbers this year with with probably the worst receiving core in the league.
And
One of them at least, worse than the other top 10 quarterbacks. Obviously, Tua is putting up great numbers, but Tua has receivers that would be the 1 and 2 receiver on any team they go to, basically.
Yep.
So I would say in another sense, yeah, people kind of forget how good Mahomes is and start to talk about the next person. And so in that sense, I'd say it's probably not fair, but
Fine. It's all TV. I think, yeah, Jordan Love's up and comer. Mahomes, I think honestly, I would say Mahomes usually gets compared beyond these, but
yeah,
especially in the past, or like when we won the Super Bowl, he's like, Aaron Rodgers' mind and Brett Favre's arm, like
yeah,
like you'll see memes where they compare multiple aspects of his game to other elite people who are elite in those areas. So, yeah, I don't mind it too much. Go ahead, compare to Jordan Love in December, January, when we're making another postseason run, which I hope so this year. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. This year, I'm a little bit more nervous about that than I have been in the past. But
yeah,
I mean, it's still at the same time. Like, I
yeah,
still would take the Chiefs over the Ravens or the Bills or the
yep.
Dolphins, probably. Like, so to get to the Super Bowl is still
The Chiefs are
pretty
the
achievable.
only team in the
No
AFC.
pun intended.
Yeah, yeah. The Chiefs are the only team in the AFC that they know how to win playoff games, right? Consistently. That you feel like that they find a way to win. Will they do that this year? We'll figure that out. But
Right. Well, the defensive scheme, they always change it up. That's the big problem with Buffalo. They keep doing the same thing, even in the postseason.
yeah.
Um,
And I remember them saying against the Bengals that Buffalo runs a lot of zone. So I'm expecting Kelsey to be you know,
yeah, let's have another big Kelsey game so people can stop talking about how he's doomed and old and too slow and
it's really
whatever.
hard for anybody to have good games when they're double or triple team the whole game. So
Right. Like, okay. Like, and
yeah.
unfortunately it's still working. Everybody else is winning their routes, or like MVS is like running towards safeties. Like,
Friend.
what are you doing? You don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want a highlight reel here. Mahomes can throw it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So let's get
Anyway,
some impressions from the game then. Obviously it was a bummer.
yeah.
And obviously, even if they called that pass interference, the best we could have done is tie at that point.
With a 2-point conversion.
With a 2-point conversion. My general thought is this, that obviously the Chiefs didn't really deserve to win, but there were some people complaining about that personal foul called against Owens. But I think the two calls that were really wrong, that lack of hands to the face and that defensive pass interference, they're both really bad looks for the NFL because they are very blatant penalties. And in my opinion, people are gonna say you're just saying that because that's how it went for you. But in my opinion, it's worse to have a blatant miscall than a questionable call. Because okay, Mahomes was hit, he was still in bounds.
In real time, do they see that?
In real time, yeah. And when it's like they're not watching the replay in real time, he's obviously giving himself up. And I'll say this: maybe it wasn't unsportsmanlike conduct, but Owens was kind of a jerk for hitting Mahomes there because Mahomes does what wasn't like he doesn't fake go out. He's not doing that. His body was fully towards the out of bounds, so he just wanted his intent was not to hurt Mahomes, but he's like, let me just hit him once to just kind of let him know I'm here, which I think is a jerky.
I think he said he was like, hey, if you get that free shot at the quarterback, you're supposed to take it. I think he's on record saying that.
Yeah, but. And I just think that's a jerky way to play football. But in my opinion, like you said, there are sometimes you see a holding call where you're like, that's really weak, that's questionable. But I would rather have a bad call be thrown than obvious calls be missed, in my opinion, because I think that's worse for the game. Because in real time, it's hard to tell. Things look worse. That's what they often call when it's a bang bang play. It looks worse in real time than it usually does. But that's my thoughts on.
Did you feel the same way about the Travis Kelce push towards for the Hail Mary?
Oh, I know that people don't call things on Hail Marys because there was another one earlier this year. I think it was Bills versus someone else, maybe Jets, where you see in the Hail Mary, two defensive players are pancaking a receiver. So in a sense, I'd say, yeah, they should call those on there, but I think Hail Marys, they basically just ignore pass interference on in general.
Yeah, you just got to win it. Yeah. It's such a big play, and it's like, you call it, and then they're at the 1 yard line. It was a real low percentage chance, even if they don't. And so I think that factors in.
Yeah.
But maybe that factored into the MVS miss, or ignoring. But here's what I would say though. More than that, I would get mad about things you can control. So what I thought, we talk about cool, uncool sometimes. Uncool, Pacheco throwing a punch. He thought the game was over, probably. He in real time, he probably assumed that was a, fumble return. But he throws a punch, and now instead of at the 35-yard line, we go all the way back where Mahomes was hit for the roughing the call. People don't talk about the fact that call was a race. Now it was by a Chiefs player by choice.
Yeah.
But that whole game, whatever we gained from that, we lost because Pacheco lost his cool, threw a punch, got ejected. So now we don't have our best running back, and we're 15 yards back. And throwing, trying to take shots in end zone from the 35-yard, totally different thing with 50 seconds to go than 50-yard line. So I felt like the announcers didn't talk about that enough. I really was like, again, do what you can control. You can't control the refs not calling that pass interference, which I think it might be a little bit of an exaggeration to say that's been the worst one since the Saints game. I just thought that Saints game, it's such a big moment in a playoff game. It's needs to stay on its own level.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to say, hey, we got really screwed. No, not to the same level. Not the same level. But yeah, it's kind of that same kind of, I would say Pacheco's was the biggest call or the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
And I just think, and I also want to stick on that because that's just a good lesson for people in sports and competitions. Keep your cool.
Yeah.
You never really know. There was nothing to gain from a thing like that in that situation, and a lot to lose.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is one thing I continue to appreciate about Mahomes, and all the Chiefs really took blame for this week, but Mahomes does not throw his teammates under the bus. He has not once said, that week where MVS had that drop, Mahomes said, I could have thrown it better. This week when he said, I could have gotten to him. I could have gotten the ball to him sooner. There's these things. And I appreciate that because I'm just going to compare it to other player another player who used to wear Pacheco's number in Kansas City. You know, he recently in Germany had a fumble that we returned for a touchdown, right? This other player,
Yeah.
who I'm not gonna mention his name because I think he just likes the drama. But when asked about that fumble, he said, "My teammate missed his block." And he did, you know, it was supposed to be a screen, but so this other wide receiver teammate missed the block and causes this player to fumble, and Chiefs return for a touchdown. Whereas like Mahomes goes and says,
Yeah.
"Oh, it wasn't the ref's fault. I could have gotten the ball there sooner." You know, like
Yeah.
I just think it's very classy.
Yeah. You want to control, like, you need to do what you can control. And between Travis Kelce has had some bad, like, fights or whatever calls for that.
Yeah.
Pacheco did through a punch. Like, we gotta stop. Chris Jones had one earlier this year.
Yeah.
Like, we just gotta stop. Like, be aggressive, get fired up, do it with your play. Stop doing it with your fist.
Yeah.
Like, those are the ones that make me mad as a fan.
Yeah.
And those are the things you can control. And you can't control the other things. You can't control those. So do what you can control. And I think those have played a part in, I think, multiple losses. At least 2 of our 4 losses have been in part or pretty largely impacted by a oh, sorry, what's the call? What's the call when you fight out of? My brain is. We're both sick,
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
both out of it.
The unsportsmanlike.
Unsportsmanlike
Yeah.
conduct kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah.
You can't do those as the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You are the class of the AFC. Yeah, of course you're going to get their best shot. Of course that hit or that blocking on that return was kind of dirty or whatever. But who cares?
Yeah.
Play better.
So, what are your thoughts going into this next week?
Well, I'm a little nervous, like, as far as, like, so I mean, we get into playoffs either way, so I shouldn't be too nervous. Um, I think the Bills are desperate, so we're definitely getting their best shot. We should win,
Yeah.
but our receivers are being really inconsistent, and I don't think they're going to be good enough to be able to take advantage of some of the weaknesses of the Bills defense, which is that it's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
It is a lot of zone, so Kelce should have a pretty good game. But even if he gets 100+ yards, like, you still need to get probably another 200 or so from other players.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bills are as bad as their record suggests.
No.
Like, I mentioned before, they got unlucky with turnovers. They're getting more turnovers on a lower number of turnover worthy plays than a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of chance there. So those are my thoughts on the game upcoming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. With Pacheco out, the other running backs will need to step up, but also this would be a really good week to finally see some consistency in the passing attack.
Yeah.
The Bills they're desperate, but I think if we can avoid getting behind, I think Josh Allen struggles when they get behind to not feel like he has to really, I think he just struggles to not make bad decisions. And like you said, some of them aren't really that bad. They just, the ball bounces the wrong way or whatever. But I think when I think he gets in his own head and feels like I got to make this perfect. And when he starts to make it, I don't have a stat for this, but it seems to me like games where he throws picks, he tends to throw multiple picks. Like he might not throw a pick for a couple games and then he throws 2 or 3 in one,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
We're back in
There's
KC, so that's good.
Yeah, that'd be good. That would be good. Um, so yeah, I was just gonna check that stat. I think we got a good shot. We're a good team, so hopefully we'll play like that.
Yeah.
If I look at his interceptions, at least what I see here with the last 5 games. Sorry, I'm not seeing the whole season. It looks like he's got his interceptions. He's kind of been throwing one a game.
Okay.
So I thought what you were saying was true too, but at least recently that hasn't necessarily been the case where he's doing that. Let's see if I can find any other ones. It looks like he's thrown.
I guess so. So what I'm seeing is
He threw three against the Jets. You know, that
three
first
against the Jets, and then
two against
yeah.
Broncos.
So I guess not, but he is throwing pretty consistently at least one.
Yeah, he only
Um,
has 2 games without a pick. So
yeah,
the question is, do we take advantage of that, go down the field, get a touchdown? And
yeah,
that's a pretty big swing.
yeah.
And that's probably been the difference in the games for a lot of the Bills
The,
games. So
the other thing I like, I love the Chiefs so much, and I think they do so many good things. But it's like honestly, like the put Rice in more, right? We've talked about that, but then like don't put more in those important plays like that interception. Like, and more if you get another shot like this, because I know you listen to our podcast. If the defender is about to catch the football, like there's a moment where he like almost grabbed the guy's face mask reaching for the ball, and it's like, yeah, grab his face mask, hit like get called for offensive pass interference. You do whatever you can do to get him from getting that ball, because going back 15 yards is better than losing the football. Like,
yeah,
but it's just I think like he had a lot of upside, but he makes one or two good catches, but he shouldn't be the guy on these crucial plays.
it's just so hard because who is it? Like Rasheed Rice,
Yeah,
sure. Travis
yeah,
Kelsey, sure.
Rice.
But you need. I heard Noah Brown as a
Yeah,
suggestion.
yeah, and
So
maybe
that's pretty good.
I don't. This wouldn't be fair to this player because
Not Noah Brown. Sorry.
Gray,
Gray.
yeah, Gray is playing pretty well, but I was like, man, if the Chiefs actually did sign Ertz and we just run two tight ends, because Ertz is going to take some of that pressure off of Kelsey. Like, obviously, I don't
Yeah.
think Ertz is an upgrade on Kelsey, and it would feel bad for Gray because he's playing really well, but we just need somebody else to be the guy so that Kelsey
That's
gets
a pretty
less
good idea.
attention. So,
Pretty good idea. I don't know if the front office is going to agree and go get him, but could be
Brett,
pretty
listen to
reasonable.
me. Do it.
Well, we don't know also what kind of contract Zach Ertz wants.
Yeah.
So like we'll see when he signs with somebody. If he wants more than the minimum, then I don't think they can afford it.
Yeah. I think the major thing he wants is to be on a Super Bowl winning team, but
I
he
do think
probably
that's
also
true
wants
too.
money.
But sometimes it's like, but I also have to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play for the right team but get paid is what a lot of players do, and that makes sense. Like he's
Yeah.
not going to have a lot more years of football left to make money, and this is going to be pretty efficient money making stuff they can do.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, that was the other thing. Play calling wise, I wish we would have run more that last drive. It was a 5-6
Yeah.
minutes we had time to run. We should have
Yep.
run more. And we started pushing it down. Like who cares? Like if you get that crazy catch and
Yep.
you're there and you score with 3 minutes left, well then they get to go down and maybe get a field goal. All they have is
Yeah.
like it's just like
Yeah.
we
I
could have
agree.
ran more, and that not only would we had time to, it was probably a safer play. For yardage, we're getting 6 yards a carry against that team.
Yeah. The only thing I think is I don't remember if it was on a first or a second down.
Yeah.
I remember thinking we should run, but it looked like a pretty obvious run situation, and it looked like they were loading up the box.
Yeah, I guess that's true. As a who
Even that,
cares?
yeah,
Checo's gonna still get you 4 yards, 5 yards against that
Yep.
team, probably. But anyway,
so,
I get what you're saying. They stack the box. They dare you to do what we did. But
yeah,
part of why they're daring us to do what we did is because of what happened. Like
yeah,
we're not
for sure.
consistently hitting the MVS. We're not hitting these long throws.
Yeah,
Which stings. But you deal the hand. You work with the hand you're dealt, and we haven't been dealt with a great long passing game. It's not coming together. Now that I say this, it's probably going to happen against the Bills, and I'm going to be happy. So I look forward to us giving a good long passing game, because even if my analysis proves ineffective, who cares if we're actually getting some good throws?
Like maybe the Chiefs have been pranking us all this whole time, and they've been like, let's just not be good during the season just to mess with people.
Yeah, they do this a lot. It's annoying. Stop it.
Yep. Well,
but anyway, thanks for coming on. Like I said, we've been so sorry for like a little
later
rabble
this
in our
week,
voices,
and
but playing injured.
but let's go and get some Buffalo burger.
Let's go get some Buffalo burgers or wings.
Or
Why?
wings. Yeah.
I don't. I don't. You're just intentionally being off.
No, as like, buffalo burgers are actually made from buffalo, whereas
Oh,
buffalo wings are actually chicken.
you know
But
what?
I'm
That
saying
makes
like
a lot of sense. Let's get
we're
some
gonna
buffalo
cook the
burgers.
bills.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Come on, Chiefs. Buffalo burgers it is. We're not in love with our play last game, unintended. But we're gonna get some buffalo burger this week, unintended. See
All
ya.
right. See you then.